So what's up, class? Professor Calderon here. So this week, I wanted to give you guys extra time to complete your papers and to work on those. Those are very important. It's a big portion of your grade. So, but in preparation for next week, for the next chapter, that's why we haven't started the chapter 9 yet, but in preparation for that, I want to give you guys some understanding about screenwriting, because you're going to understand screenwriting structure and how it's married to visual structure. So, in talking about screenwriting, as the writer, you're choosing individual moments, select moments from the life of the character that you've created. You're not starting off a story like, Up from Black, and your character's born, and from birth there, it doesn't, you know, with the exception of maybe 300. I just thought of that. The movie 300 started like that. Anyway, you're choosing select moments that illustrate the life that you want your audience to perceive. Okay? And you have tools that you use: character, setting, dialogue, action. Okay? Character, setting, dialogue, action. To design a feature, I'm reading from Robert McKee's book called Story. And you don't have to go out and get this book. It's the book that I used when I teach screenwriting. It's an excellent book if you're ever thinking about screenwriting or writing a novel. But he says, to design a feature film, you must reduce the seething mass and rush of life story to just 2 little hours, more or less, that somehow express everything you've left out. Okay? And when a story is well told, isn't that the effect? When friends come back from a film and you ask them what was it about, you have to notice they often put the story inside life story. So they'll tell you as if the characters were alive. So that's the powerful effect of a story well told. So what I want us to focus on is the idea of screenplays, films having structure. Okay, with the script. I'm talking about the written page, right? Because before a movie is shot, someone has to write that movie. Someone has to write the script for that. Usually, normally. So, structure from the vast flux of life story, the writer must make choices. Some look for characters, others for action or strife, perhaps mood, images, dialogue. But no one element in itself will build story. A film isn't just moments of conflict or activity, sonality or emotionality, walk, talk, and witty symbols. What the writer seeks are events, right? And I'm emphasizing the word events. For an event contains all of the above and more. That's what, as a writer, we're looking for: events. Structure is the selection of events from the characters' life stories that is composed into a strategic sequence to arouse specific emotions and to express a specific view of life. Let me say that again. Structure is the selection of events from the characters' life stories that is composed into a strategic sequence to arouse specific emotions and to express a specific view of life. Okay? An event is caused by or affects people. Okay? An event is caused by or affects people, your character. It takes place in a setting, generating idea, image, action, and dialogue. It draws energy from conflict, producing emotion in the characters and audience alike. Choices cannot be displayed randomly or indifferently. They must be composed. And to compose in story means much the same thing as it does in music. Which to include, which to exclude, to put before and what to put before and after. A story event creates meaningful change in the life situation of the character that is expressed and experienced in value. In terms of value, what does that mean? Okay, so we value things as people, right? We have life values. We value life itself. We value freedom. We value liberty. I value substance, food. These are things that we value. When those things are threatened, right, we get meaningful events. And a meaningful event will bring up that threat. Okay? Sorry, let me turn the page here. And when those events happen, it changes the structure, the charge from, so to speak, from positive to negative or negative to positive, right? For example, here's an example. A man goes to sleep. When he wakes up, he looks outside the window and everything is wet outside. Something has happened, an event, perhaps, a rain. Was it meaningful to the man? Not really. Did it change any life circumstances? Well, let's take a deeper look. Perhaps he's a farmer and his crops were dry and he was in the middle of what is it called? A drought. Then yes, that rain could be a meaningful event because now he has sustenance. His crops are watered. Okay? So the events change, the rain, changed the charge of that man's circumstance, what he valued, life, his substance. When the rain fell down, it watered the ground, and when it watered the ground, it watered his crops. When it watered his crops, now he has sustenance to feed himself. Okay? So we look for events. We don't look for the man getting up in the morning to brush his teeth and, say hi to his wife and put his boots on, one right foot, left foot, feed the dog, empty the kitty litter, scrub the shower clean, go eat breakfast, read the newspaper. No, that's not an event. The event is the thing that happens that changes the polarity of the scene from positive to negative or negative to positive. And it's something that they have to value. And he says here about values, this is Robert McKee. Story values are the universal qualities of human experience that may shift from positive to negative or negative to positive from one moment to the next. For example, here are some examples of human values. Alive, dead, positive and negative. In short value as are, for example, alive and dead is a story value, as are love, hate, freedom, slavery, truth, lie, courage, cowardice, loyalty, betrayal, wisdom, stupidity, strength, weakness, excitement, boredom, and so on. So there's this binary, this duality to them. They go one with the other, okay? And the charge goes from positive to negative or negative to positive. Excuse me. Now, in in a screenplay, we achieve these events, these let me just read this right. A story event creates meaningful change in the life situation of a character that is expressed and experienced in terms of value and achieved through conflict. Okay, so when they value that value is something that they want or they need. They need freedom. They need liberty. They need substance. So that's the desire for it. We get conflict when something stands in their way, when something prevents them, or someone, I should say, prevents them from achieving what they want, from getting that, whatever that value is. Now we have conflict, and it could be a thing. Like in I'm thinking of what's the movie? Ava, with the little robot. See, this is where it comes in handy to be in class, because I know one of you out there knows what movie I'm talking about, and you would just yell it out. Anyway, okay, so now we're going to break down. I'm going to talk about different units of a screenplay, a scene. A typical film, the writer will choose 40 to 60 story events, right? Or they're typically known as scenes. A novelist may want more than 60. A playwright rarely has as many as 40. A scene is an action through conflict in more or less continuous time and space that turns the value charged condition of a character's life on at least one value with a degree of perceptible significance. Ideally, every scene is a story event. Let me read that again. A scene is an action through conflict in more or less continuous time and space that turns the value charged condition of a character's life on at least one value with a degree of perceptible significance. Ideally, every scene is a story event. So we want a screenplay, right, to flip from positive to negative, negative to positive, positive to negative, negative to positive, with the charge, with our protagonist, our main character, in what they're seeking. Okay, are they getting closer? Are they getting further? Maybe something a clue comes in, and okay, this clue's going to help them. Now they're getting closer to the bad guy, but something happens, and now instead of getting closer, they're 10 steps away because he found out that they're on his trail, and now he's gone somewhere else. So a scene is this unit that turns on itself, right? It turns that charge, and it's done through conflict. The next unit is a beat. I'm not going too deep into detail of it, and you'll understand why when we get to the next chapter. But the next unit is a beat. Inside the scene is the smallest element of structure, the beat. A beat is an exchange of behavior in action, reaction. Beat by beat, these changing behaviors shape the turning of a scene. So inside a scene, we have beats, action, reaction, action, reaction. The next one would be sequence. Beats build scenes, and scenes build sequences. So a sequence is a series of scenes, generally 2 to 5, that culminates with greater impact than the previous scene. So there's structure to it. There's more and more impactful, more and more meaning, scene by scene, sequence by sequence. It's supposed to build. Okay? I'm sorry. I was just thinking, this is as weird as it is for you guys watching me as it is for me just lecturing into my iPhone. I feel like I'm talking to myself here because I'm just looking at myself. And anyway, I know you guys are out there. And I know you're listening. Are you awake? Toom, 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 toom. Wake up. All right. Where was I? Okay, sequence. So a sequence is a series of scenes, generally 2 to 5, that culminates with greater impact than any previous scene. What does that mean? So the impact, let's say the impact of, let's say the impact is on a scale, a level, from going from low to high, or 1, 0 to 10. And when the movie starts, the scene is maybe a 3. Then the next scene can be, the intensity can be 7. And then it can come back down to a 4. All right, then to a 5. And sequence by sequence, though, it has to build overall in intensity. We don't want to go sequence up 1 in intensity and then come back down in the next sequence in intensity, right? And come back up. No, it has to keep building and building and building. And it has to build into, all pouring into that one question where the audience is asking themselves, what's going to happen next? Oh my God, what's going to happen next? Okay. So the next unit is from sequence to sequence. Now we have acts. A-C-T, acts. Not acts like A-X-E, but acts. Like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And sequences build act. An act is a series of sequences that peaks in a climactic scene, which causes a major reversal of values, more powerful than an impact than any other previous sequence or scene. So, scene by scene, it pivots. But sequence by sequence, it builds. Get more and more intense, more and more intense. Act by act, right? And normally we have 3 acts, 3 or 4 acts, right? It's getting more and more intense as well, until the final act is the most intense. Okay? The final act has to be the most intense. Think about that. Usually in a good movie, the big shootout is in the final act. Or the confrontation, the big fight, the whatever it is. If it's a love scene, I mean a romance movie, the big come together is in the final act. You can't have the big whatever, that big moment in the first act. It can't be Act 1 and boom, you find out that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. Because nothing else is going to trump that. Nothing else. Nothing else will outdo that moment when Luke Skywalker finds out that Darth Vader is his father. I'm talking Star Wars, you guys, in case you haven't known. So, now he gives us this idea of story climax. A story is a series of acts that build to a last act climax or story climax, which brings about absolute and irreversible change. Boom. Okay? Absolute and irreversible change to the character. So we have the structure. First we have the beat. And beat by beat, it's action, reaction, right? Then the beat makes the scene. And then scenes makes the sequence. And then sequences make up an act. 3 to 4 acts will make up the entire screenplay. Sometimes there are 5 acts or more, 6. Depends on the screenplay. In theater, there could be several acts. Okay? The thing I want you to take away here are those basic beats, the basic structure, and how it's rising conflict, right? That conflict keeps rising. Like the first act, it may start here, it may start up here and get a little right then, and it may come down. And the second act, it'll come up here and then come down a little bit. And then but the third act has to be over the top. It has to be what's it called? It has to be the big show out on the third act. Okay, remember that. All right. Again, priorities, your papers, your essays. Okay? I want well-written essays. And I'm expecting the writing to be college level. Okay? So that's why I'm giving you extra time for it. All right. Good luck.